Yo guys, how you doing? It is another stream day. Today, we're going to be oiling up this fat man. Infer from that what you will. I don't mean this fat man, I mean this fat man. So he should still stay stream appropriate. But, gonna get freaky with some oils. How are you guys doing? Let's see who we got in the chat so far today. We've got Tizd, Viking, Nemod, Main Unit, Hicko, yo dude, The Crooked Grin, Maladeus, Fish, Empress Champion, and of course, #1 mod ever, Das Antes. Big Brom, how you doing, bud? Tizd, waiting for a little elemental, maybe element. Should arrive latest today, haven't showed yet, I'm pretty sure it's proposed. It could very well be, dude. I finally did get an element order in today. Let me let's see if I can reach. This might go wrong. So wrong. No, it didn't go wrong. I got new toys, except they're not really toys. It's not scenery either. They could use these as scenery. This would be really good scenery. But this is the new painting rack system from EG. Big fan of this. We've got two enormous towers of this. I've got like 8 of these bits, which hold 18 paints. Then we've got 2 sets of bases, 2 sets of drawers. We went deep on this. We spent about £100 on MDF paint racks. And they're nicely branded, the old EG logo in there at the end. But they're kind of cool. And they take up less space than this, which is a lot of space. So that means that at some point... Oh! Zen! You absolute boss. Thank you so much for that sub. Much appreciated. Emperor Champion, mate, you're a legend. Thank you so much for that. Is it really a big difference, let's say, that Wish stuff? No idea, but hey, I like supporting Element for a start, and I got the opportunity to paint these. If I want to use them that way, I can make them my own rather than it just being whatever else. So, I think each one of these was about £10 to £15, and then like everything else that went with it was a bit like, do we really need this? Yeah, kind of need this. The ones I got at the moment are some TT Combat MDF ones, and they are, as you can see, bursting over at the seams with paint. We've got 1 billion tons of paint on there with only the slightest of all exaggerations. So, yeah, many paints. Now, what this means with this new element game system that we're going to put up, hopefully tomorrow, is I will sort through all of my paints. And anything I find here that I'm like, oh, I'm never using that, I'm going to put in a bag. And anything I find in the drawer that's like, oh, I'm never using that, I'll put in that same bag. So we have a drawer of paint as well. The racks are not enough. We need the drawer of paint. And then probably on the last stream day of this month, which I think, if I remember correctly, is Sunday the 30th. Nailed it. Sunday the 30th indeed. We'll throw that in as a subscriber only prize. Who knows? Could be you that wins that. But tonight it's all about oiling up the fat man that we've got here. So we've got some burnt sienna, some magenta, some oxide of chromium, or you could just say green, but oil paints must be posh, don't you know? With a monocle and like a little drinking like this. Burnt umber and ivory black. And we've got all of those out because this guy's got loads of different colours on him, as you can see. Let's zoom and enhance. We did all of this via the airbrush on Sunday night stream. So we got all of the skin tones done. We got all the shoulder pads done with the airbrush. Everything else we blocked in by hand. We added a little bit of irritation on some of his skin with the airbrush. And then yesterday evening, this guy got a really solid gloss varnish all over. Now what we need to do is give this model as many interesting parts as we can, and that's where these oils are going to come into play. So obviously for the skin tone. We've got options between using burnt sienna, magenta, burnt umber if we want. We can go for any of those three to kind of give him that tanned look all the way up to just some unhealthy pallor. It's probably what we're going to go for is magenta. For the armor plates, we could do browns, we could do burnt sienna. We could even get a little verdigris going on around some of these coppery pieces as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by mixing up a load of oil washes. So we're going to sort of prep our palette the same way we do with glazes. Grab a load of cheap, shitty brushes, and we're going to apply oils all over this guy. Then we're going to blast him with the hairdryer to dry off the vast majority of that. And we'll see at what time we get to it in the stream at that point. If we've still got plenty of time left, which I expect we might have, I really want to leave this guy to dry for a while. And so I'll do some work on my knight. I've got an armiger that I need to get done for this weekend, so we'll probably do some work on him. We've got loads of panels to get some washes down on. We've got some washes and some details to do on the main body of the guy as well. I've just started the shitty rust work up on there. So we could do that. If we manage to get back to this guy tonight, though, we'll start cleaning off a lot of those oils, making him look really damn sexy. Gwen Lula, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Right, so let's just pick one of these. We've got black, and in fact, I've got, not to waste anything, a little pie tin with some black oils left over from the Hellstorm stream. Now, if you've not used oils before, basically oil paint is linseed oil, which is a very, very, very slow drying oil, mixed in with a load of pigment, and it's sort of suspended in that that oil solution, right? It becomes a really gummy, thick liquid, as you can see. The way you need to get that onto the Mini is by thinning it. Now, you could put it on like that. You could put it on pure if you want to really cake it in there, but you've got a lot of cleanup to do then, and you've got to really push that into the recesses. So I've just got some white spirits. This is actually Bob Ross's odorless paint thinner, because got to support the most wholesome of all people. I'm just going to add a little white spirit, and we want to keep these relatively thick so we've got a bit more ease of working with them. And then you just sort of mash the paint into it. Now, one of the benefits of working with these sort of pie dishes where they're like fluted at the sides, and you could just buy, I bought this pack of 50 off of eBay or Amazon, I can't remember which. But you can just buy them because they're for home baking, right? But one of the benefits is you get these ridges at the side, so you can take your oil wash, paint them in the ridges to see how it would behave in the recesses on the model as well. Try not to throw it all over your desk. And we're just going to prep up each of these. So that's the black. I've got a little bit of kitchen towel, which I've been using to clean my brush. So obviously you can't dip this into like a pot of water. The oil and water thing, you know. Viking, that's awesome, dude. And I did see your comment just a minute ago about the Danish Postal Service being slow. I've got the tracking number here. Can you do me a favour? Just send me a message on Discord so I don't forget it and I get the alert even if I don't get to it this evening. And I'll send you the tracking number, and that way at least you can check up on it and you know where it is. Just got a burnt umber on deck. This is going to be used for things like the horns. We're going to be using some of this on the base. We'll use some of the green on the base as well to help give us like the feeling of sort of lichen and moss. Lichen, that's it, lichen. We had a conversation about this when we did one of our weekend streams. Nano, how you doing, buddy? And one of the reasons I like oil washes is A, you get loads of workability with them. You get plenty of time to do your thing. The Aeronautica Imperialis planes that I was working on yesterday's Hellstorm stream with Mikey, I've just popped them in a cabinet. I took the rest of the wash I wanted off them earlier on this evening. Now, you can't do that with the standard acrylic wash. Look at how thick that is. You can't do that with a standard acrylic wash either. This is real thick. There's a reason for that. We want that so we can be accurate getting this onto the place on the Mini we want. So it's basically paint that we got there instead of a wash. Let's do some of this green. I've never used this green. Booty Yaz! How you doing, buddy? I saw you had your... Ooh, that's a nice green. Your first game of 9th. Hope you had fun. I've got my first tournament of Ninth this weekend. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. There's some horrendous bullshit lists coming. So it's going to be great fun to practice against some of them. Can't wait. But yeah, one of the things I like about it is because you can keep changing how thick and thin you want it, you can get it to be exactly the right set of properties for the job that you've got in hand. And like I was saying, we were painting the planes on the Hellstorm stream yesterday evening with Mikey. Earlier on this evening, in fact probably only about an hour ago, I took the rest of that wash off. So you got plenty of time to work with that. I could even go back and take more off now, because we can just add a little bit of white spirit, reactivate that oil, take it back off the Mini. I'm going to have to leave them now for a couple of days, let it really dry down, get nice and solid. And then we can give it a varnish and start getting the highlights down. Look at how vibrant this shit is as well. I mean, that is goddamn magenta. Got your ass kicked. Des didn't hold back. He was playing Ultramarines. You know, Ultramarines are strong. They're not the strongest codex supplement at the Marine subsection right now, which does currently, in a very vehicle heavy sort of intro to 9th, go to Salamanders with their absolute horseshit eradicators. There's some bullshit going on with that. Some horrendous amounts of bullshit. Like, I don't care about the Smash Captain on bike that's toughness 9 or whatever with -1 to wound. I couldn't give the first fuck about that. That's one guy that's not going to do as much as people think he is. But I do care about 18 melter-gun shots coming at me. Hold on, that's a bit much. Wooden Spoon, Matt, how you doing, brother? Okay, I've not used this before either. This is a nice kind of orangey brown. Like this. Don't dip your finger in it. This is one of those things that you should probably be wearing gloves for that are not compulsory, because it does wash off your hands, but use some sort of like degreasing solution. You bought 2 more squads as well. Yeah, I think every fucking Space Marine player out there immediately went, oh, I want the bikes, I want the bikes, I want the bikes. Saw the rules for the Eradicators and went, I want to buy those instead. Bikes are great. Love the bikes. Speed is brilliant. Helps get me on those objectives super fast. Yay! Woo! Go bikes! Melter gun shots for the win, bitches. So, yeah, that's happened. There's actually 2 Death Guard players going to the event. My housemate hasn't found that out. He's been playing Death Guard since the very, very, very start of 8th edition. He was always a Chaos player, but it was Chaos Undivided, like a normal Chaos army. But as soon as the Death Guard Codex came out, he was like, I am a Death Guard player. I have the Dark Imperium box. Here we go. Polly, I totally understand that, man. Are you happy with where we're at with your Barbarian mini at the moment? Gonna oil the fat man up tonight. He's gonna get real greasy real quick. And then we'll just kind of pull it back a little bit. Looks sick AF. I can deal with that. I can deal with that. He's not too nurgly, apart from, let's just say, the slight accident he's had. Just nicked himself shaving. That's all that happened there. It's not a big deal. It's okay. But yeah, I think we've done a good job of keeping him looking relatively normal, just very unhealthy. Let's go back now to our oils that we just created. And none of these are particularly thin, apart from the black one. As you can see, we've got a nice sort of panel line wash there. Everything else, we've got a proper gloppy soup with. So this is great. It's exactly what we want. Good old manscaping accident. I mean, We could call it that. Either he's really talented, or he's really terrible with a blade. You know. Oh, Mr. Sam! I am, of course, playing my knights, baby. My favourite army. I can't wait. Can't wait to try out this list. The list I'm running this weekend is the exact list I wanted to run in 8th edition. But I couldn't live with the fact that I was like 80 points down. I'm like, oh, I've got to find a way of spending those 80 points. And now I don't have to. They just made my list 2,000 points on the nose. On the nose! Right, let's start getting the oils down. We're going to start off with the base, and I am going to put a glove on because I know if I don't, I'm going to end up with the oiliest hand ever. That's probably not true. I mean, it's almost certainly not true. But, equally, I don't want to end up getting oil on things like the arms of my chair and I go stand up and things like that. Did Jake let you know I smashed his Orcs of the Week? He's very salty. Jake sent me a WhatsApp message saying, right, I'm fully on a train that Orcs and melee armies are dead in 9th. That's it. You can't do melee in 9th. Alright. Okay. I mean, you can't do melee in 9th. Just to pile that salt on. Right, let's start with some of this on the base. We're going to use a bit of this. We're going to use a bit of this. We're going to use a bit of this. And we're going to use a bit of our green. And what we're going to do is just keep wiping the brush off on our pretty manky looking paper towel. Did he do it in 8th? He was decent. He was decent in 8th. He's one of the few people that took more than one game off me last edition. Which takes some doing. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but I learn from my mistakes very quickly, so I'll make very few of them. Excuse me. And so my games are normally pretty spot on. So what we're going to do, we're going to start splodging some of this on the base. We're going to go between our different colours to build up a nice set of variations on our stones. But Jake managed to take several games off me. I think 3. I think he beat me 3 times in 8th, which is a lot for one person to take the win. Like I said, that rarely, if ever, was the case. Alright, let's grab a little bit of green. And this green is kind of weird. It's got a little bit of separation going on. I know I mixed it pretty well. But okay, should pop that back together. Reincorporate it. It's aside from GW, you say. Yeah, it kind of could be. Could be. They've gone, you know what, Jay? You played like an absolute champion last edition, and we love you for it, brother. What we're going to do is going to allow your knights to hit several floors. You don't have to just hit the ground floor now, so people can't run away from you at buildings. We're going to allow you to move over people in combat again, because some of that move blocking shit you had to put up with was absolutely terrible, man. Terrible. We felt for you. We felt for you so much. So here's what you can do with knights, mate. Right, you crack on. You go and do your knight things. Mr. Brutal! What up, dude? Right. Now I'm going to grab a little of that magenta. I'm going to put this on the like the skin of our dead vulture / raptor, whatever that thing's meant to be. Going to take some of our black ink, and then we're just going to sort of splodge this on everywhere else. And what this is going to do is going to create a humongous mess. When we start cleaning these oils off of this, everything's going to end up with a little bit of a tint from whatever oil was put down in that area. And that's going to help make our base look a little bit more interesting, a little bit more varied. Do you guys remember we did Ragnar's base? We did the like the undershadows of green and purple. This is basically that, but with oils. And it's a great way of doing that kind of thing without an airbrush. I know we've airbrushed a lot of the stuff on the base already. Let's knock the exposure up a little bit. There you go. Just A bit more? Nah, too right. Your theme tone is perfect, Jay. Who's looking for more info on oil paints? Well, there you go, man. This is definitely the place to be. Let's do his boots. So for his boots, let's grab some of our burnt umber. And we'll spread that liberally over all of his little booty. And then we'll also put the black wash on over this as well to help keep it real dark in those recesses. Yeah, I love oil washes. And what we're doing now with some of this, it's not really a wash, it's more just paint. But you're still going to get all of that really deep, vibrant set of colours going into all your recesses. You're going to be able to help gradiate your highlights a little bit on some of these areas where we just painted it on. So all of this, which was just a contrast paint for his boots, by the time we clean some of this oil off and not all of it, we'll end up with something that's really, really cool without having to spend forever blending everything. We did that stream on blending recently, and this is another alternative. This is exciting. This literally got me a little bit in the fizz today. I was like, yes, yes. I have a question to all of you guys. Most of you have been all over things like YouTube. You've seen your way around the Warhammer 40,000 and Sigmar content on that. What would you do if you had the head of Chapter Master Valrak in your hands? Like, literally right in your hands. Because I do. This is actually Chapter Master Valrak's head. He's had this commission sculpted by a guy called Barry, who is Anfarius on Instagram. I mean, damn, it's the sculpting on this is fucking beautiful. Stick it on an Iron Warrior. I've got a load of hazard stripes around here. I might just start taking some photos of it next to them, saying, "Hey, this guy's looking pretty comfortable here." You know. How much do you think he'd be fucked off if I put it on a knight's base? It's like basic material. I mean, I could take a blue stuff mold of this. That's tempting. That's real tempting. Paint a wispy comb over and butt chin on it. Harsh. Accurate. Super harsh. Talking of Mountain of Chaos beneath his Terminator boots like Doom guy. Nice. That would be sick. I've only got the head though, not the rest of the mini. He's got that. He's going to paint that. I'm just painting the head. He contacted me a couple of weeks back and said, "Look, do you take commissions and can you just paint this head for me? Because that'd be cool." I'm like, "Yes, man, that would be cool. I'll paint the head. We'll do it." Nick says, "Do it. Be brave." Mate, I might totally blue stuff a press mold out of that. Paint it gold and put it on the base of my new Iron Warriors inspired Omega Knight. Oh, God. He would not be happy. I think it would be hilarious. Right. Black oils still. Let's get him into this grey cloak of his. This is going to give us all the shading that we need in our recesses. It's going to leave our dark grey still being a nice highlight for it as well. So we can keep this kind of dull and muted. This is also going to work for shading all of that chainmail as well. But yeah, we're going to paint Valrak's head on Sunday night stream. And I believe that the man himself will even be in the stream chat so you can watch his own face get painted. That's right. We're giving Valrak a facial. The internet has completely ruined that comment. think you should put it on the base of all the large quests you do as an Easter egg. Yeah, man. Let's try and get that push mode sorted tomorrow. Oh, God, if I can do it, that would be hilarious. That would be so, so funny. Yeah, that would be amazing. Right, let's use some of our burnt umber. I'm going to pop this onto all of the red. And what I will do as well to help retain some of the vibrancy is we'll go over this using some magenta as well. So in a double wash for the red and the bright ass pink on this. And should we do the bronze with this as well? Should we use that? No, I think we'll go darker. I think we'll put this on the bronze too. Noah mentioned the Iron Cage incident. Best behaviour. What the fuck is the Iron Cage? But I like Valrak, like the guy himself. I think he's quite a decent guy. I think he's quite funny. And he's fun to talk to. But I'm not the intended audience of his videos. Let's just leave it at that. And be polite and nice about it. So I don't watch his content very much. I watched a little bit of it. I watched the unveiling of the Anfarius sculpt because I'd seen it all over Instagram and I knew I was painting part of it, and I really, 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 really wanted to see it all in like full finished position. Crownblade, what up? Law, okay. Iron Warrior smoosh Imperial Fists. Yes. Menu says, I got a question. I haven't played 40k since Battle for a Crag. Now I'm back and start playing Space Marines. What's a better chapter for someone noob like me? Salamanders or Dark Angels? Salamanders. Dark Angels take a lot more creative playing. Oh! Let me see if I can get this right. Die Slachtenbummler. I think I got that close. Thank you for that raid, dude. Welcome to the stream. Grimward, thank you for the follow. Absolute boss. How was your stream, man? MC Jager, legend for that shout out. Thank you. Very close. God damn. We'll keep practicing, and maybe next time we'll get it right. Triska Decker, Siegfrieds, how you doing? Three Reporters does not equal creative. Equals you cheesy man. What does equal creative from Dark Angels players though is when you start playing like Ravenwing and stuff like that. It's just not good. Not really. Which is a shame, because they have some awesome units that look super, super cool. Need to sound more angry. Nah, I can't. I can't be angry when someone comes and raids. It's always a super positive thing. Like, genuinely, I feel blessed to have them bring their community over here. It's really, really nice. So thank you, dude. All we're doing at the moment is making this guy look really, really dirty. We're playing with some oil washes. So for those of you who just joined, we talked a little bit about what an oil wash is earlier on. We've made up our own oil paints. Some of them, as you can see from like our black, are quite thin. You know, we're using this to get some good panel lining going on. Some of these are so thick, they're like jam almost. But we can definitely kind of put all this on there. I saw you say dad earlier on, but I didn't see your actual message. Did you put @Mohawkminiatures in the message? Because that makes my life so much easier. But I did see you say dad, so if that was the message, it's okay, my child. I think. If you've been a good child, do you need to send you to your room, like ban you from dinner in the Xbox? That was your message. Brilliant. Brilliant. Jim is an angry language. You have to put in more oomph. Okay. Next time, we will make some fake anger. And we'll go for it. Right, let's get some magenta onto all of the bits of armor that we've just painted, but not the gold bits. So we've got bright pink now. I'm going to spooge that on all over our red as well. And that's going to sort of mix in with the brown that we've just put on there, that burnt umber. And it's going to help keep this looking pretty bright and fresh. Now we're going to remove all of this from the surface. So this is just going to help tint our recesses. Oh, we just got it on his metal bits, but that's fine. We'll clean that off easily enough. And this is one of the best things about oils, though, is you can be completely messy. I mean, that's just fucking weird now. That's super weird. Not sure what to do about that. I automatically assume that every single person on the internet is a middle-aged man that lives in a basement. That's it. There's no, oh, I really like this person. She seemed really nice until I found out her name was Chuck. Ready Player One. Epic book. Great film. Right, anywhere else I can put magenta other than the skin? I don't, these heads as well. So for now, we're going to use some of our green. Here's where we're going to start dotting some of this into our metallics. This is going to help give us a nice verdigris on those. So we've got this bit as well. And notice how none of this is dry. Yeah, we are kind of wet blending oils. And it's not difficult. And none of what we do with oils is difficult at all, right? It just isn't. I realised that we haven't done this bit. There we go. Oils are just fun. They're just cool to relax and chill out and just like slap some paint on shit without a care in the world. We've got a little bit of silver up here, so let's put our black wash on there. Let's put our black wash on his axe blades as well. Rule 16 on the internet, isn't it? There are no girls. It could be. It could be. I used to know some of the rules. I know one of them was if it exists, there is a porn of it. And if it exists in like one gender form, there's another gender form of it. Was that rule 36 or rule 34? I think it was rule 34. Was the if it exists, there's porn of it. I think that's it. Right, so for his trousers, we want to keep them relatively dark, so we'll use some of our burnt umber in there. So we just slap that on any which way. See how relaxing this is? We're not stressing about minute brush strokes, we're just slapping oils on the mini. Rule 30, rule 34, I think it was right. Anything else to do with the flesh in those heads? Oh, we've got a few nails up here, so we'll do a quick black wash on them. Bit block, another one here, just bop, bop, bop. Cool. We'll put a little bit of black wash onto these like leather straps, the ones that are holding these armor plates on. And then we've just got the skin to do, and his guts. So we'll grab some of this magenta. This is going to look horrible. Like, you guys know quite frequently we go through stages where the mini just looks like an absolute bag of shit. And this is going to be one of them, because that lovely skin tone that we had is now bright purple. We've just painted one purple boy. That's all we've done. In one entire stream and about half an hour, all we've painted is a man who has had great need of some Factor 8000 sun cream, and has gone a little bit, got a little bit pink. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Lobster Boy. And it looks horrible. This is some of the stuff that I see as finished minis occasionally on Instagram, and I'm like, oh yeah, dude, great work. Thanks for tagging me in your post. Go you. You've nailed that. If I ever tell you on any social media post, oh, you've nailed that, dude. That's code for please don't tag me in your shit anymore. And if anyone's watching, it's like, Jay said I nailed that on one of my posts. Really sorry, buddy, but also the Easter Bunny isn't real. Santa Claus is just your dad. Viking, peace out, man. Send me that message on Discord so I can remember to send you the tracking if you want as well. Right, let's paint these heads. We're going to do some magenta. We're going to do some browns. We're going to do some greens. We're going to make them a bit of a mess. Like, quite a lot of a mess. So, on this one, we've got some bone showing. So, we'll just paint some bone. So, some brown goes on there. We'll do a few darker areas around some of that with some brown. Then we'll take some green. And we'll just sort of spooge on a few bits of green. Like so. And that's basically it. That's the mini. That's this stage of the mini finished. And as you can tell, it looks fucking horrible. But wait, we're going to hair dry this guy down. I'm going to do some work on my armica. We're going to work on some washes on that. We'll do acrylic washes though. And we'll build up that shitty rust technique that you guys have seen me using fuck knows how many times. We've got some work on the base to do. We've got some work on the actual dude itself to do. And by the time we've done all of that, this guy, I've nailed it. You're right, buddy. You're right. Nailed it. By the time we've done that, this guy should be dry enough for start removing a lot of this oil. So all of these, if they were hydrated and not hydrated because you're not using water, but if they were wet enough, you could pour them into bottles and keep them. I've almost always got a pot of black oil, which is started to dry out a little bit, but we've always got a little pot of black oil, so we just need to do some panel lining. It's there, ready to go. But you can save them. You can even reactivate these. So if you've got like a large batch painting army that you're doing, and that just dries like that, just come back in, add a few more white spirit drops, give it a good mix, it's good to go again. So, yeah. This isn't necessarily immediately garbage. But we're going to pop them out of the way. And we are going to dry this guy down. And then we're going to do some shitty rust. Great work, buddy! Cheers, man! It's like that bit in Hancock where he's going around going like, good job, good job, good job, good job, good job, good job. City rust. City rust indeed. So if you go far enough back on my Instagram, right, this is the reason why it's called Shitty Rust. Mr. Brutal, absolutely, brother. Absolutely. The very, very first tutorial I did was people were asking me how I got my rust effects looking as realistic as they do with as little effort as I was telling people was going into it. And on the video, I pointed at a patch of what was finished good rust and what was not finished rust. And I went, this is good rust, this is shitty rust. And so it constantly became, from Jake mostly, shitty rust. Some shitty rust. So the technique is clearly shitty rust. And that is what it will always and forever be, shitty rust. Right, this guy, we've dried him down with a hairdryer. We've evaporated a lot of the spirits off of that. And obviously it looks fucking horrendous. But we will sort this. Do not you worry. Do not you worry. So pop him to one side. Let's grab our Armiger. So here is the main body. We've got that to do. We've got some weapons to do. So we've got the stubber. We've got the autocannons. We've got his head to do. We've got his shoulder joints to do. But to show you guys this process right the way from the start, it's exactly like that guy from South Park, yeah. You want shitty beef or shitty chicken? Them Mongolians. If I played against the White Scars army, I'd constantly be doing that. Damn you Mongolians! Love that dude. So, we've started off all the rust on these, and I'll show you exactly what to do to get the barbed wire we've got on his base to this stage, and then we'll do the washes on all of it, right? So here's the base for this knight. As you can see, we've taken a gigantic statue, chopped it up. All of the work on here has been done with an airbrush, with the exception of painting that silver and this gold. Everything else has been airbrushed so far. And that includes the washes that went on this. And that's kept a very nice, soft kind of finish to it at the moment. Obviously, needs a load of highlights, which I intend to get done before the weekend. Whether that happens or not isn't the matter, but I intend to get it done before the weekend. And that's the real thing to remember there. So let's start off getting all of these bits of silver in the same kind of rusty finish as this. Now, the first thing we're going to do is grab ourselves our trusty pot of Riser Rust, and then we're not going to take the paint out of the pot immediately. So when we stopped by Studio J7 stream the night, he was saying that he was doing this as well. Riser Rust is really... well, I'll tell you. It's actually this. It's Trollslayer Orange. With less medium in it. That's it. There's no secret to it. If you add more medium to this, you get this. But what I want to do is I want to break the paint. I don't want to add medium to it and create Trollslayer Orange. I want to turn this into like a weird, like slop, a slurry. That's probably the actual word for it. So, I've always got some little bottle caps. I'm going to take some of this on a crap brush. So again, just keep buying, like, just shit synthetic brushes from like Amazon or whatever. We don't need much because we haven't got much to cover, but basically you take a big lump of this, and what most people would then do with this is put it on a towel and then get some dry brushed Riser Rust paint, and then they'd attack the mini with their brush, and it doesn't work that way. We have established that you do not dry brush like that, or people do dry brush like that, but you shouldn't dry brush like that. Nathan plans to play his entire AdMech army. Yes, I know, he's told me. He's desperate for those 10 points. So we're going to throw a lot of water in. Now, normally when you take a GW paint, or in fact any acrylic paint, and you add a load of water to it, you break the cohesion between the medium and the pigment, and you get this really weird, chalky finish on a miniature. And if you're painting something like a suit of power armor, you really don't want that. You don't. But if you're painting something that's an environmental effect, like rust, you kind of do. Now, I'll always leave... let's just take some of this out of that little well. Go on, come on. I'll always leave a few chunky bits in here. And if we zoom right in, you will see we've got in our slurry and our sort of orange wash that we've made, we've got these lumps of Riser Rust. Okay, and we want those. We want to have a few bits in there we can come back to for some instant, like, solid hit of pigment. How many paints do I have? I don't know, but each one of those racks holds like 76 or something, and they're full. I've got a drawer full of them, and I've got inks, and I've got oil paints, and I've got washes, and I've got pigments, and a lot. One of the guys I was giving a private lesson to last night, and yes, the lessons went very well. Thank you for asking earlier on, Des. And I'm sorry it's taken this long for me to get back to you. Says, well, I've got the entire GW and scale range. I'm like, that's a lot of paint. That's a hell of a lot of paint. Scale have not got a small range. They've got many ranges, in fact. So, here we go. What we've got then is this wash. I'm going to pick up a load of that super, super thin orange, and we're just going to start dotting this on. And because this is really thin, it will run down into our minion. The barbed wire's got loads of like lips in it that will catch some of this wash and stop it from hitting the very bottom. So you're going to have to work it in there. But if you've got something that's a somewhat more flat surface, like a load of the metallic parts of this Helverin we've got over here, you'll find it very, very easily starts flowing into recesses, which is kind of where rust would normally gather. You don't often get rust settling on flat plates of stuff, because what makes rust is normally some sort of liquid in our 21st century world of living in the real world and not the 41st millennium. It's normally water, and then like maybe salt has sort of built up in there. And that starts to oxidize the metals underneath, like enamel on cars and all that sort of stuff. That's what starts making rust. And obviously in the 41st millennium, this could be like an acid rain shower has absolutely fucked over this barbed wire. Could be loads of reasons as to why something rusts. So you can even oxidize gold, because for one thing, it's not necessarily gold. It could be some gold-coloured metal that's from the planet Bingy Badgy. If somebody gets that reference, I'm going to be super amazed, and I'll love them forever. But equally, it could be some really horrendous atmospheric condition that has corroded something that we believe to be uncorruptible. Baz the Brit. Oh, you got it, man. You got it. Oh, that was one of my favourite episodes. So we're just slapping this on. Now we've got a nice flat plate to do down here as well, but we want to deal with the barbed wire first. And you notice how we're missing quite a lot of it, and that's intentional. We don't want it to all be orange, otherwise I'd have just painted it, orange. But let's make sure that there's a lot of rust on this. Not too fussed about this going on the gold. That gold hasn't had washes of its own yet, because the shitty rust technique is usually quite messy. And then, now all that's done, let's do this flat like access panel or whatever this is meant to be. So because it's so thin, we should just be able to drop this into some of these recesses really nicely, where rust would naturally collect. Water's pooling in there, it's then adding in a load of like extra contaminants that help to eat away at the surface of our metals. So let's get some of these recesses as well, the rivets, this massive great big nut, and then obviously we've got the Admex style skull face thing going on. Now you can obviously just do a few little dots here and there on the rest of it, but you must try and make sure this stays random. Whereas on something like this guy that stood up, because it runs around on the surface and obviously gravity helps bring it down a little bit, this looks a lot more random. When you've got just a flat panel like this, it's kind of difficult to get looking random. So, Spotted Painter, how you doing, man? We're actually not working with oil at the moment. We've had to put the oils down for a sec because we rattled through adding oil to this guy, making him look effing horrible a lot quicker than I thought I would. So we're working on the base and some of the bits and pieces of my Helverin that I need painted up for Sunday. I'm going to grab some of that real chunky bit of Rise of Rust that we had in there. Airfoil getting the sub going on. Absolute superstar. Thank you. Spotted Painted, give it about half an hour or so. We'll start cleaning oils off again. But in the interim, we're going to do a quick bit of rust using acrylic washes. This is my patented shitty rust technique. And the reason this sort of lumpy Rise of Rust is useful is because this will start applying texture. Because it's so thick that when it dries, it'll dry set up from the miniature. You know, this is the absolute antithesis of too thin coats. This is slap that fucker down and it will go. Airfoil, you carry on and paint, my friend. You don't have to be sorry for lurking. We are a lurk-friendly stream. Obviously, I'm not going to do it. There's a lot of people pushing for partner at the moment, and that's great. And I genuinely hope they make it, because for someone that may be reliant upon Twitch for support for themselves financially, their family, that's super important. And it's great for partner, if you're trying to get that way, for the chat to be really inclusive and everyone chatting and everything else. But you guys just chat if you want to chat. Don't if you don't. That's it. I'll try and encourage conversation because I like talking to you folk. But I'm not going to insist that you chat if you're here. Reiner has been working super hard. There's a few people that are being... they're fucking with the algorithm, is what I'm going to say. And that's bad for everyone, I think. Because some number crunching exec at Twitch TV will be like, you know, this is a thing that we should stop from happening. So you just chat if you want, don't if you don't. It's all good. You can sit there and lurk or stream and then put whatever you've been working on in the whip later on. That's totally fine by me. Right, next step. We've applied our orange gunk. The slurry has hit the mini. Never saying that again. No, I felt really bad about saying that. So dry this down with a hairdryer. We'll come back to this in a sec. And we'll start the shitty rust process on the rest of our armageddon. Dragon's gonna kill you, it's so freaking big, I mean, yeah. But it's gonna look cool though, man. It's gonna look real cool. And that makes it worth it in the end. And you can live off of the praise that you're given. That's all anyone that's creative needs to subside, is just praise. You know? It sort of flows into you and gives you positive energy. You're like, yes, we are good. Pro Jam, doing well, champ. How you doing? Mohawk Special Slurry, now available at only France account. Yeah, so we're out there with the bathwater as well. There's a special 2-for-1 offer going on. Right, shitty rust. We need strong tone. We need... We got light tone. Yep, light tone. We need dark tone. It's a triple threat of washes. This is all you need to make shitty rust. And of course some orange. And obviously something silverish to be rusty. So you need the triple threat and his two friends, which is like the quintuple threat of how to do shitty rust. Then... no, we can use bottle cap. We don't need that much. Fuck it, we need one. Let's just use the shot glass. Then you need shot glasses. Now, I strongly don't advise anyone to take a shot of what we're about to do, because it's gonna kill you. This does not belong in a dirty pint at all. Next weekend stream, you can't paint whatever colour you want. But no, never, Nick, never. Guessing what would brown. To be fair, mate, I shower, not bath, so it's kind of non-existent right now. What's the biggest menu you've been working on? For anyone that's used to buy as a base for Celeste Great Demon, like freaky in a good way. I've painted a few big things like the chitin that you can't quite see in here. Obviously, you've done a load of knights, but this guy's taller due to his axe. Come here, Doris. Let's get this guy on camera quick. I did love this dude. It took about a year to paint. But, I mean... I'm super, super happy with this guy. We got little bits of freehand going on. The axe is one of the nicest things I think I've ever painted. I just really, really like it. The way it's turned out. Yeah, super, 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 super happy with this chief. I want the axe to be something like ripped right out of World of Warcraft. And the rest of him to just be straight up sinister. So this is probably the biggest mini I painted. I've done knights that are wider across the shoulders. But in terms of just actual height, he's kind of the chonkiest of all boys. Now this, I just got an Ancient Blood Angels Battle Force. A friend got it at the hobby and gave it away for free. What should I do to give to them, given that I hate Blood Angels? I can't share without any details from the black... Oh, damn, man. Sell them and buy something else. That's the best advice I can give you. Otherwise, you're looking at chopping them up and putting them on, like, doing conversions and... yeah, Prod Jam, I did. That's not great at all. We're also going to need Flow Improver. So we've got our triple threat of washes, which you've worked out is actually a quintuple threat. Now obviously becomes a sextuple threat because of Flow Improver. Why are you using Flow Improver? Because Flow Improver is going to mix these down, keep them wet. You should always keep it wet. And it's going to help give us some control back over something that's very, very thin. We could use water, which I find sometimes reacts a bit weirdly with these. Flow Improver is the way. Why do we need 3 washes? Because we're going to wet blend some washes, which is why we need to keep it wet. Need the drying retarder out of that Flow Improver. Now you could use Lamian Medium, you could use the Quick Shade Mixing Medium from the Army Painter. I've got some of that. But honestly, this stuff does exactly as well and is super cheap in comparison. So we're going to start off with a 50-50 mix of light tone and Flow Improver. I'm going to mix up a little bit more than I need, but there we go. That's going to be a good start, I hope. I'm going to paint the entirety of all of the silver bits that we've just done. So all the barbed wire, all the bits of night, and this is the first of 3 layers. So get a brush that you haven't used for oils, because that would be really important to not get wrong. And as you can see, I'm using a really impractical, like, large flat brush that's, once again, just been badly chopped off. You can still see there's like errant brush hairs sticking out of this thing. So yeah, don't do that. Don't buy these brushes. They're bloody terrible, but they're exactly what we need right now. So it's totally fine. I'm going to slap this light tone on everywhere. Obviously, get a decent coat of it on there, but don't paint like super, super thick. With things like the barbed wire, just sort of do your best to get even coverage. You're not going to get even coverage because barbed wire, but it's actually not going to matter because of how we're going to handle the rest of this shitty rust technique that we're working with. This is one of the reasons I like it. Anyone can do this because it's super simple. And as long as you don't take the piss a little bit with your washes and the sort of orange that we dilute down so much, you can do this similarly to the oil washes we were just using in a very carefree way. You don't have to concentrate too much on this. You're not looking to get super smooth edge highlights. You're also not looking to do that and pull a big lump of this on the Mini, but it's okay because weathering solves all hobby crimes. Weathering is like the Chewbacca defense from South Park. When it works, it works. And there's no question. Just no question. So this goes on, like I said, every single bit of silver. We need to work quickly because we don't want any of this to be dry by the time we finish, and I want to do the whole thing in like a batch. So, especially if you're doing large nights, you kind of need to crack on. For the gun, we're not going to do the barrel because that's also got no rust on it. I think the barrel will be a thing that gets changed out quite a lot because, you know, overheating on a gun that's constantly firing and so on. But we're going to do all of the housing on the shoulder pads, on the shoulder joints. You're getting all of this. Slap it on. This guy a good face wash. Don't let it pool, but do make sure it sits nicely in the crevices. Just don't let it... As soon as you start to see it collecting too much, especially on a part of the mini, it's a focal point like this, you've got to wick it away. Because we're going to wash this twice more. And so you can imagine that if we let this pool up now, by the time we've got 2 more washes down, this thing is going to be a jelly baby. You know, obviously we can't have that. But that's the only thing you really need to watch out for when using this technique. Everything else is super fast. There's no real dramas with anything you're doing. It's just bish bash bosh. Jobs are good. So take some of that wash off from around the skulls there. A little bit out of that crevice that we've got going on. A little bit out of the ammo exit port. Back to the shoulder. Now these you're never going to see, so we can be a little bit less careful. If Chewbacca lives on Endor, you must acquit. Acquit! See, when it works, it just works. There's no question it can be asked at that point. Go. Last gun, and there's the Omega Helverin body itself. Given you said you hate Blood Angels, but if you're just looking at an army because you just want to field an army, you don't have to take the Death Company guys. I mean, they're actually not necessarily good either. They're good at clearing chaff, but so are just intercessors. And intercessors do it better as well. And if you can make Death Company assault intercessors, they'll be actually just much better than regular Blood Angels Death Company. So you know. Alright. Start at the top. Always start at the top because it's going to run down the mini anyway. And this way it stops you from flooding the bottom of the miniature with oils. It's going to run down. Again, don't let the recesses pool up too much. And don't worry about this whole bubbling thing that's going on either, because that really just won't show. Once the wash starts to dry, those bubbles are burst. But obviously, each one of those bubbles is a potential pool of liquid that could obscure detail. So don't let that happen. Work quickly, because we want to wet blend all of this, and all of the wash we've put down so far is drying. This is not like our oil washes. And you could do this with oils in a much more sort of relaxed way. But then you've got a lot of cleanup to do, and I don't want to do the cleanup on this because I know that this technique will work. And the cleanup will be, instead of scraping a load of like oil paint off our mini with with like cotton buds and old brushes and stuff, our cleanup will be adding some highlights. And that's kind of it, right? And it's the same technique I've used on all of my knights, and whilst there are other techniques I have learned since then, in the interest of keeping the entire army consistent, we've kind of got to go with it. I did genuinely think a couple of months ago about buying an entire new knight army and just starting them again. Same colour scheme, like exactly the same scheme, just do a lot more conversion work. Make sure all of them are converted rather than just a couple. Do some slightly different basing, same theme but just slightly different. But then fortunately cooler heads prevailed, and I decided not to spend 600 quid on a knight army that I already have. But holy fuck balls was I tempted. Might be looking to sell my Space Marine army though. I keep thinking about it. I've got an Alpha Legion Space Marine army where we did free-handed details for like the three-headed hydras and the chapter symbols and all that lot. And I might look at selling those at some point. They're the ones that are sometimes down here, the kind of blue turquoisey metallic marines. Because whilst I like them, I don't want to add anything else to that army. Because I like the color scheme, I like the way it looks, but there's nothing else that you can do to it from a like skill perspective. They're very, very difficult to get any kind of highlights on at all. Nearly impossible, in fact, to get realistic looking highlights going on that. Which I don't like about them, and that's the one thing that's kind of put me off them. Alright, there we go. So that is the first wash stage done. It's not a massive change, that's why we're using the light tone. Then we've got a tiny bit left in there, so we don't have to worry about anything. We can just move up to strong tone. This is the next in our set of 3. Just got it here, it says dry machine with oils. Poster Ninja, no it's not. We put the oils away for a little bit. Because we need those to dry for a little bit. I'll show you what we have done now. Got this guy completely oiled up. We're removing a load of that oil, but so as we don't waste time, and we've got an hour and a half left in the stream, I'm teaching you guys how to use some acrylic washes to finish off the rust technique I've used on all of my knights. So now we've got some strong tone in there, nice and watered down. I'm going to take our strong tone, I'm going to introduce this to all of those bits again, but we're going to just miss a load of it. So we want to get about 40 to 50% coverage on everything we've just done with strong tone. And be blotchy with it. Again, don't let it pool like super deep in any recesses, you know, keep wicking that away. But do make sure that you get decent coverage, and you're looking at about half of the surface area covered with this. So just sort of blotch it on. Avoid the pools, you know, don't go in the pool, not even in the shallow end, just a little bit. Areas that have got some substantial, and you know what, I'm just going to wash all of this, because I'm going to wash the gold with this anyway, so we'll just do all of this right now. Areas that have got a lot of rust, you could apply an extra bit of the wash to. But otherwise, keep light with it. And keep working through. So let's go on the gun. It's just a couple of dabs here and there. Try and keep it as random as you can. Plenty on the shoulders, because they're going to be dark anyway. But now you see where we're starting to really be able to speed up with this, because we've got most of the coverage already. What we're doing is just adding a different hue to some of our rust. If you ever go out and look at like an industrial like area in your town or city, wherever it is that you live, and if you live in like the countryside and there's none of that sort of thing about, just go and look at some farmers' machinery or something, right? That's the kind of place I grew up, and you'll notice that any rust you see isn't orange. Not really. There's a little bit of orange, but most of what you've got is brown. And there's different shades of brown. And that's why this technique, done using the 3-stage wash system that we've got here, the shitty rust technique, patented by Mohawkminiatures, works really well because you're wet blending all of these washes, so you get edges that sort of flow into each other. It doesn't look like, oh, you just put a bit of dark splodge on there. It all melds together a little bit more, especially if you watch out for any of those big pools. Oh, how? The art of war is here! Everyone, if you're into competitive 40k, these are the guys that you need to be watching. I am humongous fans of this channel. I just never get to watch it live. How are you guys doing? How is your stream? We got 14 Dead Souls. What's up? Fidget910. Des, thank you for that shout out. What did you guys get up to on your stream this evening? What's up, hobby friends? We're doing great, dude. How are you? We got some celebrities here now. Look at that. We're just doing a little bit of quick rust on some of the areas of my Knight Armiger Halverin, so we can turn this guy into this guy. This is the final element for my, hopefully, retaining World Championship Knights title this year. We need that third Halverin. Now the points have changed. Got to get him. Got to get him. Nick was doing some Tyrannofexes. Oh yeah. You're doing some Blade Garvets and Eradicators. Ugh, Eradicators. They're rough, man. They are rough. You were just talking about how none of your stream team own Armigers. This is the third one that I've painted, but I've got about 6. I just haven't got around to building them. They are the best thing in a Knight army, though, aside from a Crusader. Like, honest to God, this is the next best unit in the Codex. These guys have won me more games than almost anything else. They're super fast. They're relatively easy to hide. They're easier to hide now than they were before. You know. Matrix, how you doing, brother? The Moirax are really good, but the Halverin with that ranged attack, damage 3, he's what I need in the army. I need him getting those objectives, especially now the primary is much more important, I feel, because that's where I'm going to lose more games than not, is not having that. Fidget, thanks for that follow, brother. And they were really good at the tail end of 8th in secondaries, because the number of times I'd have an engineer Halverin and people were like, wait, seriously? Like, yeah, trust me, we'll be good. And that engineer Halverin would do work. He was winning games for me. Like, he didn't fire his guns. Oh no! So yeah, I love these guys. The Moirax, the lightning locks are great. For a little while, I was toying with adding in some of the Volkite and Claw ones, because they've got a 6-inch heroic intervene. Akuna Matata! What a wonderful name. How's it going, man? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I love the fact they had a 6-inch HI, and they were dirt cheap. I'm telling you, man, Halverins, that is the way. Is the way. December Win getting his sub on as well. Thank you very much. And Snack Baron. There's a name I can get behind. How's it going? Woo! Learning! Many learns, much teach. So yeah, you guys definitely check out the guys over there at The Art of War. Do check out their podcast as well. I used to have that on at work every single time that was released. It was like, right, I swear I'm paying attention to this meeting. Clunk. You know, really good podcast. And Nick, if you're there, I'm the guy that bumped into you at the London GT and said, hey, I have to drop from the event. I've got food poisoning. But I just want to say I'm a big fan of your show. That was a horrible event. That's the worst event I ever went to. That food poisoning ruined me. I lost like 14 pounds in 2 days. Was bad. Right, next, and the last step in the important shitty wash technique is to go in with some dark tone. Next, so to be Alex McDougall talking GSC and Nids. Nice. Or Chris, you should get you some food poisoning. I strongly recommend in that case some severely undercooked chicken from a dodgy like chicken and chips style restaurant. Punkvox, thanks for the follow. But I then can also recommend that you immediately, the day of doing that, Frosty Forge, thanks for that follow, drive over 100 miles away from where you live to stay in an Airbnb where you don't know where anything is, including in the middle of the night things like the bathroom, when you absolutely need to visit that. Can heartily recommend that as part of the experience. I can then also recommend driving to a tournament venue the following day and leaving a scene that could be reminiscent of Dexter if he dealt with vomit and poop instead of blood. That was not the highlight of my year. Right, the last bit. We're going to take some dark tone and we're going to apply it to even less. We're going to try and keep this to the areas where we've just put the strong tones, so we're getting more of that darkening going down. But it doesn't matter if we get a little bit on something that hasn't had it at all. So just a little dot of this here and there. And this will start to mingle in with the other washes that are still wet on the Mini. And start giving us all of those different shades of rust. So again, we're wet blending some washes, not by like some weird skillful way, but just by dint of making sure that the previous coat of paint is still wet when this one's going down. That's being achieved by the fact we're using Flow Improver, which has got a drying retarder, which slows down that drying process, allowing us to have the time to do this. So this is not tricky. As you can see, this is just sort of anyone can do it. Slap on some paint with a big old brush. Don't let it pull too much in the recesses. So just, you know, suck that out of there. But have a play with it. You know, it's something that is totally up to you. How much of this that you use for any of the three washes that we've got. And because this is all going to be like a war-torn battlescape underneath, you've got an area that it really, really doesn't matter if there's sort of imperfections, because you're going to cover it up. You're going to get yourself a little bit of pigment going on in there to mask it. You're going to get yourself maybe some like static grass tufts to have growing out of little bits on that that pillar there. I've just noticed another bit of pooling, so let me just yoink that out of there. And then even when it gets to the man himself, the Armiger, still just be a little blotchy putting this down. Most of the Flow Improver will disappear. You'll be left with this really thin veneer of ink that you've put on the Mini. And that will look like rust. It'll look a damn sight more like rust than someone that's taken some Rise of Rust out of the pot and dry brushed their mini. Because remember, when you dry brush, you are putting paint on the raised surfaces where rust would naturally not collect at all. Recesses for rust. What cool model should I buy? I have £27. Maybe Cesaras? Like, he's super fucking awesome. Really like this dude. Some of the... If you just want something cool to paint, and this is something that will probably be in a giveaway soon, is the like Mindspheler Speranx and the Myrmidon Ogroid. And this is Dark Tone, by the way. Strong Tone is the second wash. Dark Tone is the third and final wash. But yeah, those would be solid choices. There says the newish Inquisition stuff. Yeah, I kind of like the new Inquisition lady with the dragon creature. That looks cool. What else is cool? It's just cool. But you stipple riser, that's what I do. So even then, you're not really going to get it into the recesses. You're still applying it to the surface that it comes into contact with. So if you stipple like here, for instance, you get most of it on this raised like lip. You're not going to get it underneath it, which is where it would really sit as rust. So you can do, and it'll give you a bit more of a vibrant orange effect in certain places, but getting it in the places where rust would naturally collect can take a lot of work if you're stippling, whereas just slapping it on like a slurry and then stippling it so it then naturally free flows into those areas, that's going to give you the best outcome for it, I feel. And we've done a lot of rust, many nights coding rust. You've got like squigs. Squigs would be good. Yeah, the Mangler squig from Sigmar is super cool. You could go to eBay and buy a single Helverin, because they're super cool. So notice we're being somewhat selective now. Finding areas that are going to have maybe a darker recess overall. Areas that we want to just downgrade some of the brightness of that orange perhaps. Or just provide a bit of a shadow. Now we've got a load of sort of panel lining that we need to do. Just outline some of this detail. And that has to come after this step, because this step will obscure a little detail. Not a lot, it won't like cover it up entirely. But because you're basically splodging on various different shades of brown and orange over a miniature, you actually get a kind of a camouflage pattern. So this is another way you could do any kind of camo. Just gonna dirty down the sort of hip joints there a little bit. And this is actually one area of the miniature I do dry brush, and there's a reason for that, and I'll explain that if we do that on air. But essentially it's to give it a brushed steel look. So we're looking specifically for one kind of effect. And to get that style of dry brushing down, you can't just attack the mini with a dry brush. You have to go about it a specific way. So if we do that on stream, I'll show you how to do it. Right, that is that guy done. So all of that needs to dry. So we've got a tiny bit of our shitty rust left in our shot glass. We can leave that to one side to dry, and then we'll crack on as normal. But we've got ourselves a pretty decent basis of some rust. We're just going to go back through, pick up any of these bits that have pulled too heavily, dry that off on our kitchen towel we've got next to us. And that's a super simple way of doing rust, guys. You see there's really no like precise technique that you need to follow. It's just use progressively darker shades of brown till you get to black for a wash over some thinned orange that you've splodged on the model here and there. That's it. Janelson! Yes, you did hear dry brush. We actually dry brush one part of our knights. And specifically just one part. It's the hip joint. And what you do is you get a very, very dry brush. So you wipe off like 95% of the paint. And you need one that is kind of this sort of shape. So the flatter dry brush I did, it doesn't work so well with the rounded ones. And then you just slowly and carefully draw that back over the top of the hip ball. And you won't see a difference until you've done it like 100 times. And you'll start to see just like little lines of silver. Like scratch marks. And what it looks like is brushed steel. And I just want the hips to look like that. That's it. So that's why we dry brush, using a very specific sort of subset of the dry brush skill to do so. Didn't think you knew how. Do you know, I know all about how to dry brush. Everyone else seems to get it wrong. I can't understand why. No attacky the model. That is not how you dry brush. Dry brushing is not a martial art. It's an art form. It's not a martial art form. There are times when it's the absolute best thing to do. Those times are extremely few and far between, and normally intensely specific. It's almost better to do something else in terms of just making it look right. Is brush steel my new look? A little bit like blue steel. We're not quite at the I want to say Ben Affleck. It's not Ben Affleck. Ben Stiller level yet. I'd love to show you Magnum, but unfortunately Twitch terms of service and all that lot. Can't do that on air. There we go. So that should be all of those recesses that we're starting to pull, completely removed. We've got a nice looking set of different values of rust on there. Once that dries down and mats down, that will look spot on. But now we should have had plenty of time for these oils to dry enough for us to start working with them. So now you can go back to the topic of our stream, which is all about oil paints. So for those that joined either from the Art of War raid or from Die Schachenblumler. That was more Arnie than Angry German, I think, what we got there. Queen Bumblepup, thank you for the follow. Here are the oils that we have used. Now this looks horrible, as you can tell. But we've got 5 different oil paints that we used on this miniature. We've got black, green, which is chromium oxide, which sounds super cool. Magenta, burnt sienna, and burnt umber. And what we did is we took these and we completely annihilated our actually quite nicely looking Barbarian that we had earlier on. And he looks terrible now. But now we're going to make him look cool by not using these paints. We've done with those paints. They are now finished. Before I put that on my desk, I'll just wipe that bit of pot. Now we need a clean pie dish and some white spirit. And I'm just going to fold that over so we can use a different clean part of our rag. We also need some cotton buds. And I just bought the cheapest ones I could find. I bought like 600 of these for a tenner, I think. The little bamboo ones, so they're relatively environmentally okay. But they're cheap, and that's the important part. It was totally meant to look like shit. I nailed it. That's right, buddy. I nailed it. What we're going to do now, we're going to take some cotton buds and we'll start removing the oil. So the way this works is you apply a load of oil to a miniature And because oil paints have a working time of, and I mean this literally, years, you can always go back in and do some work to it. You might have to reactivate it with some white spirit, which is what we're going to do in a minute perhaps. But to begin with, we're just going to start removing it from the mini. Now you need to be careful, which is one of the reasons I've gloss varnished the mini. It helps me to protect the surface underneath this. We're going to start getting some of this off. So if we just gently rub away at this with our cotton bud, you'll see that we're removing oil from the miniature, cleaning some of that off. And you're absolutely right, it is like a reverse dry brush. You're cleaning the top areas of the mini, whilst leaving the bottom areas in those recesses with that shade on. So you can see if we just gently sort of rub away at the mini, we'll remove some of that surface area. Now I'm going to show you a quicker way of activating this. If we grab that little empty pie dish that we've got, get ourselves some white spirit in there, and do this in a well ventilated room, guys, because this stuff absolutely fucking honks. And it's not good for you to be breathing it in either, I'm not going to lie. If you've been working this for a few hours, you get a little bit high. You start to understand exactly why when Marco uses oil so much. At the start of his videos, he's like, "Hello guys!" It's because he's off his tits. So now we're just going to add a little white spirit to the end of our Q-tip. And now we can just remove vast swathes of that oil all at once. We've got a much, much, much cleaner surface all of a sudden, but we've left all of the recesses full of that oil paint. So let's start working on something like his hand, where we got that magenta ink earlier on. And we've got a wet end and a dry end. One of those two sounds like a medical condition. You tell me which one you think it might be. And we'll just keep removing those oils. So all that magenta that we slapped on his skin to give him a really unhealthy look will start to take off. But importantly, that magenta will sit in all those little boils and sores and spots and herpes, the gonosypha herpes, whatever horrid diseases that this guy has and carries. That will all be highlighted for us and shadowed for us by this technique. So let's kind of do half of the mini, and then we'll compare the half that we've cleaned to the half that we haven't, and you'll see the gigantic difference. You're not wearing a mask because you want to be off the tits too. I have no idea what you're talking about. I would never stoop to such a thing. So this is his red armor that we had before. And we've got these little Nurgle-esque symbols up here that we've got our wash into. There's a little bit of green that's still just hanging in there, although that has mostly gone. I'm not going to lie, I was hoping there'd be a little bit more residue from the green. We can just add a bit more in a bit. Clean off some more of that surface. Get into all the little nooks. And suddenly, that's back to red again. It's now back to red with everything nicely shaded for us. And it being super, super vibrant. Like, look at his skin. This looks great. Looks like it still needs a little bit of cleanup. Don't get me wrong. But this is another technique that's really, really easy to do. Like, the only thing you've got to think about is, have I removed enough oil, or have I removed too much, in which case I may need to just reapply a little bit? Or am I being gentle enough with my cotton bud to not remove paint from underneath? You know, that's it. That's all you've got to worry about is those two things. And if you want to start, let's say we didn't airbrush this guy, and this skull, for instance, we didn't airbrush. what we could do is we could start removing more oils from some surfaces, leaving a little extra bit of shadow here and there, so that we start getting those gradients that we'd normally only really be able to get this easily from an airbrush. But the oils that we've got on there are going to help us do that, and that's why we went with a different colour for different parts of the mini. So for the bone, we went with that brown, that burnt umber. For the red, we did burnt umber, and we did magenta to really amp up the differences there. You can still see some of those little bits of green, so we've got the slightest bits of verdigris going on in here. Janelle, take it easy, darling. Good to see you again. But this is it. You just keep cleaning. This is a really low stress method of painting. Now I know there's at least 3 people out there that do find painting stressful, and it's not their favourite part of the hobby because they don't enjoy it. Maybe, and this is something I hear about a lot, you know, maybe they're aiming for like one finished effect and they're not able to achieve it. With oils, you can make anything look decent with very little skill and very little time spent practicing as well. So if you're looking for like a cheat code for your painting, this is it. This is the one to learn. Everything else, cool, that's great. I've learned how to, I don't know, do glowing eyes with 3 brush strokes, because you can. You just can. 3 brush strokes, glowing eyes. All of those things, they're like nice little tips that come into perspective and come into use. Usually once on a miniature and that's it. But for oils, you can do the whole damn thing. And we've literally done his base has been oiled up. It looks messy. On purpose. Because it will eventually become beautiful and light and fluffy and full of wonder and lovely things. Now, you will find that occasionally you can't get into places like, for instance, this armpit. That's where having a nice little brush comes in handy, because you just dip that in your oils instead and just clean up some of those areas. Wipe on a paper towel to get rid of some of the oil that you've got on the brush, and then just come in and pick up more of that. So I just talked about all of the upsides of oil painting and why oils are fantastic to use on any kind of miniature. Fantasy miniature, sci-fi miniature, busts, you name it, oils are great. They're just great. They're amazing things. Go out and get them. Let's talk about some of the bad sides. Other than, of course, the absolute pong. Because fucking hell, they whiff quite a bit. If you get oils on your clothes, say goodbye to whatever it was you were wearing, because it will be forever pink or black or brown or whatever. Which means that if you maybe still live at home with your mum, getting it on the dining room tablecloth would cause friction. There'd be some unhappy words, and that's not great. So be careful with them. Second thing is, obviously, it's another cost. You know, you can make a wash out of just thinning paint down, so you've got no upfront money down for regular washing, whereas with oil paints you've got to buy thinners, you've got to buy either a special oil palette, or you've got to buy a load of these pie casings or whatever. I have odorless thinners. The thinner still pongs a little bit. There's no such thing as like a truly odorless thinner, I don't think. And this is Bob Ross's odorless thinner, and it's still, you don't necessarily smell it, but you kind of know that you're breathing in the fumes. And that's kind of more what I was talking about. But that's not ideal. Obviously, like I said, don't get it on your clothes. Yes, you've got to buy more things for oil washing. But those all seem relatively minor concerns. Even the buy more things one. Like, let's be honest, guys. How many of us whinge about the price of, like, oh my god, a pint of milk is now this much money. I'll take 3 Indomitus boxes, please. There's a few people in the chat that have probably had exactly that conversation with themselves. We all seem to have the ability to find room in our budget when it comes to plastic crack. So, you know, bear that in mind, that the cost is really just your objection to, I could buy more toys, or I could buy some Winter and Newton oil paints. I've not tried the Abtilung, I think. You could very possibly convince me that those are the best oils to use. But I haven't got around to it. I've basically been using Winter and Newton stuff because it's a company I know, it's a company I trust. And there's a few people in the chat that are like, that shit. I totally don't have a problem. That's right, buddy. You don't have a problem. The first part of having a problem is admitting that you have a problem. Until you admit you have a problem, it's okay. It's totally fine. Nothing to see here. I'll post the thing tomorrow morning on my way in. Yes, that'd be awesome, dude. That took a second, but thank you. I appreciate that. I really genuinely appreciate that. So here we ended up with quite a large blob of oil. So we're just basically washing the area off using our spirit, our thinner. I don't mean spirit as in like, oh, happy day. Not that kind of spirit. This one. Let's get his jowls. He's got many chins. And we're still using the brush for these areas because these are tricky to get to with the cotton buds, the Q-tips. I know some people call them Q-tips. I don't understand why they're called Q-tips because no part of this looks like the letter Q either. Scroll up in chat. Oh, so my night list. Thank you very much for highlighting that message because that's the only way I can read some of this sometimes. My night list is, I feel, the most optimized way of running Imperial Knights. It's a list that I wanted to run in 8th edition, but there was about 80 points difference from 2000, and I just couldn't live with that. I wanted to be able to spend my points like every other army out there that has a granular fucking way of spending their points. So it is a Housecrast single detachment, which is the way I've always played Knights. I've been playing Knights competitively for, call it, getting on for 2 years. And this is the way I've always played Knights, and I feel it's the best way. Hackers is an awesome film. Absolutely great film. But Housecrast Knights. Single detachment of Housecrast Knights. In that detachment, I run 3 Crusaders. 2 of them are the same loadout, and 1 of them swaps a heavy stubber from Melter Gun. But they all have thermal cannon, Gatling cannon, and Ironstorm missile pod. That's it. Like I said, 1 of them swaps out the shoulder-mounted heavy stubber for a multi-melter. I then have 1 unit of 2 Armiger Helverins and 1 unit of 1 Armiger Helverin, which is the one we're painting up now. And the reason that Helverins are so good, I genuinely mean it when I say they are the 2nd strongest unit entry in the Codex. But the reason they're so good is because if your opponent is focusing your Halverins and stopping you scoring the primary mission, they're not killing your Crusaders. And Halverins are relatively fragile in comparison to a Knight, but let's not forget it's a toughness 7, 12 wound vehicle with a 5-up invuln save, a 3-up armor save. That you can make a 4-up invuln save for 1 CP if you need to. And obviously you'd normally save that for your Crusaders, but if it's imperative that Halverin lives, that Halverin lives. So they're still relatively tough to take down. It's just they're not a Crusader. The reason you always take House Krast is actually nothing to do with the Headsman's Mark. The Headsman's Mark is a nice Brucey bonus, which I don't have on my list for this weekend, and almost wish I'd taken it now I've seen the number of vehicles coming. But I wanted to try something slightly different. Because it's only an RTT, and if I don't win it, great, because I organised it, and I'd feel slightly shitty if I won my own event. Don't get me wrong, I'm still hoping to win it, but, you know, it always looks a little bit, if that happens. The reason you take Krast is because of the reroll hits in combat. Genuinely, that's it. First Knight is also one of the best Warlord traits you have access to in the entire book. So that's a damn fine reason to take House Krast. But it's the reroll failed hits in combat that you need it for. Because it means that your Gunboat Knight goes from being good in one phase, which is the shooting phase, and good in another phase, being the movement phase, because obviously super mobile. Movement 12, 14 on those Halverins. He goes from that to being very deadly in both the shooting and fight phases. You're hitting somebody with 12 battle cannon shots in combat, and if you need to clear hordes, you've got the ability to do so with that controlled aggression trait, which is specifically, stratagem, which is very, very good if you've been degraded. Because you've got much more chance of rolling those 6s, right? Then, as far as traits and relics go, currently I've been spending 6 CP to get full 3 traits, 3 relics on my Crusaders. I always take the Armour of Sainted Isle, because 2-up save is priceless. Sarah, how's it going? Everybody, Sarah is currently running a contest to basically prove which of her affiliates is the best one. And just for sheer bragging rights, I'd love it if it was me. So all y'all in the chat, !Tufts, go click the link and go and buy some grass tufts. Hashtag corporate shill. Don't go and buy tufts. Just go and have a look, and then you'll want to buy tufts. I'm telling you, you will definitely want to buy tufts. They are absolutely the best basing accessories I've ever used, and I have used a lot of basing accessories. But I want Mohawkminiatures top of that leaderboard. And if whatever prize we get, because there's 3 prizes up for grabs. There's some store gift vouchers. There is a like a little cottage, like a little Sigmar style cottage that you can have, and there's like some Rival Crafts gift packs. Whatever prize we get, if we win any of them, is going straight into the stream. So one of you guys is going to get that prize. Bought some at the weekend, just waiting for him to arrive. AJ72, you absolute boss. Muddy Swamp Thistle Tufts are a fave. It's the Icy Bum Tufts. The KY Bum, that's the one that everyone needs. Anyway, relics and Warlord traits. 2-up armor save is a must. I always take that. I always take First Knight, because that's fucking epic. Normally in conjunction with Endless Fury. Cold Eradication is the one that I've taken instead of Cone Cunning Commander, which I would normally take, or Land Strider, which I would normally take instead. But Cold Eradication is the tits. You roll more than one. You roll one extra dice basically when you're working at the number of shots from a random shot weapon, and you discard the lowest. If you roll double one, you spend a CP because the roll gets re-rolled, and when you make the roll, you roll one extra dice. Then you've got double the chances of hitting that 6. So it's solid. Sarah, they are damn good prizes. 25 quid to spend in the Robocraft store, I can tell you, is, from experience, often not enough. Because there is so much good stuff in that store, you're just going to blow so much money in there. I've done it. I think at one point I spent 100 quid in a week over several orders, which were mostly stream prices. So you guys have literally seen all of that. What other relics do I take? I always take the 5-up invuln save, because now you have to declare everything at the start of an event on your list. Smash Captains. They're scary. Things like fucking Lord Discordance are one of the most terrifying things on the table. Aggressors are the new heat right now. And remember, folks, they've got motherfucking power fists. Sanguinary Guard. All of these things are a massive threat to your knights. And so having something that can just go, it's alright, I'll take the hit. And it can be a 4-up save in combat with Rotate Iron Shields. People forget that all the time, but Rotate just improves your invulnerable save by 1, which means if you've got a regular invulnerable save, in combat you can still rotate and still get the benefit of that. I have surprised many an opponent who's come charging in and then found out the hard way that they're not going to kill that knight, and that knight is going to stamp all over their head, which is then done. So my current list for Sunday, well, not my current list, my actual list for Sunday, is a knight with the 2-up armor save and Cold Eradication, a Crusader with reroll 1s and Endless Fury, and a Crusader with Iron Bulwark and Sanctuary. So we've got all the invuln saves on one knight, we've got a 2-up save on another one, which from -2 gives you a 4-up save anyway, so he's kind of already got that rotate happening a lot of the time. And back in 8th, when you could get them in cover, I used to frequently get him touching cover, which meant that he was getting a 1-up save, so he didn't have to rotate against anything up to -3. So that's my list, and I think that's the best way to optimize a knight list. A few people I know that play knights have literally just taken exactly that list off me and gone, right, cool, I'm going to take this to an event I'm going to in whatever month. And I hope it works out for them, because I can't think of another way of being more efficient with what you're doing. Got the full Demon Prince from full health to aggressive and close combat. Yeah, you will, man. By the time you've added on things like your +1 attack for being a Space Marine, not Spiteful Assault, heroic Marine stuff. We'll call it just that, and wish I remembered the name. Heroic Marine stuff sounds way better than whatever Games Workshop would come up with, though. I'm telling you flat out. But yes, by the time you've got that going on, they will do work. Alright, here is our oil-washed dude. So look at how interesting the base has gotten now. With all those little bits of shadow in there, little bits of green, little bits of the different browns and the black and everything going on there. Just that base now looks quite natural. Look at his armor, look at his skin. All of this has got that definite unhealthy pallor to it. And it's picked out all of that detail for us. So now what we've got to do is get some highlights going on. Shock Assault, that's it. Ridge the Merciless as Salamanders. If you get 3 units all firing at a knight that's rotated, on average dice you literally kill it to the wound. So that one does a lot. But that's with full rerolls to wound on all units, which somehow Salamanders can do, but I need to double check their army supplement, because there's a lot of Salamanders players this weekend. Fortunately, not all of them have brought those. But yes, they are pretty damn horrible against Knights. They're fucking gross, some would say. What else is good against killing Knights? So let's look at anti-Knight stuff. Lord Discordants are horrendous at killing Knights. Maybe not so much now, because the Flawless Host thing caps at +1. So you're no longer getting 4 to hit rolls for every 4+ you roll, which was disgusting. I mean, come the fuck on. Who thought of that? Orc Boys. Orc Boys are a great screen for a war boss that wanders up on foot for 80 points and one-shots a knight. 80 points. Harley Bikers, yeah, with the Haywire. They're damn solid. Equally, so are things like Talos, especially if you've got the Dark Technomancers. I think it's called, the one where you get the bonuses to wound rolls and so on. Or you can overcharge their weapons, so I think that might be the one it comes down to. But yeah, Haywire hurts. Psychic, so Grey Knight's Smite spam, which is less good now than it was before, but it's still 2 mortal wounds for every wound. That's kind of tough to deal with too. Then you've just got the things that you can't really do much against. So anytime there's some minuses to hit, -1 to hit really hurts Knights. It hurts Knights as much as it hurts Tau, basically, because we don't have innate rerolls for shit. And we've got very few guns. We've got guns that do lots of DACA, and we've got guns that do lots of damage, but we have very few hit rolls that we make. So that's kind of tough against you. What else? What do I fear on the table? I used to fear things like Imperial Fists. I never lost an Imperial Fist player. I was both lucky and very calculating when I played any Imperial Fists army to make sure they couldn't just one-shot me with that bullshit Centurion strat. What else is terrible for Knights? Things that do substantial damage on one hit if you're having a bad roll. So things like the Executioner cannons and stuff that you get on your repulsors. Things like Vibro cannons, obviously, were really good when you could get plus whatever you wanted to wound. And then close combat stuff, Smash Captains, all those sorts of things. There's put any captain of Burning Blade and +1 strength for water at a second power. Yeah, but meh. He's got to get in. He's got to do the damage, right? So Blood Angels in general with their +1 to wound, they hurt. They really hurt, actually. Right, we're gonna have to wait for all of this to dry, and we are well early for doing this now. So we'll pop into one side, and maybe we'll do that little bit of dry brushing this evening. So I'm just gonna get a hair dryer on this, dry lot this down, and we're trying to do the dry brush on these hip joints that I was talking about. How can Orc War Bosses one-shot a knight asking for a friend? So an Orc War Boss is strength 5 or 6 currently. I think he's strength 6 for a War Boss. Which means that with a Power Claw he's strength 12. Now, if you give him the what's it called? In the biggest boss, and then you need a Weird Boy to cast. I forgot what it's called. The Fist of Ghulgoch. Thank you, Vex. That puts you up to something like strength 13, and I believe there's a strat that you can get an extra point of strength that might just be on boys. But obviously in 8th, that suddenly made you all the way up to strength 16, which is all you needed to be, right? You've then got enough attacks using the Killer Claw and the Warlord trait that gives you the +1 damage and reroll hits to drop a knight. And you can get that loadout for 80 points plus a weird boy and some CP. So obviously if you put him on a bike, he is a missile. But there's no fight twice. If he's on a bike, that's infantry only. So the way you would do it if you were to bike a boss is you would charge into one knight, or you declared against two if you could. If your opponent was dumb enough to set up like that, you could charge against two, kill one, consolidate into the other, it would attack, kill you, then for 2 CP you'd use the fight after death strat, and you'd kill that knight as well. And you could do that for less than 160 points, which was obscene. Zentrafolian says, how would you recommend painting skin tone for the shield captains of the Adeptus Custodes? I need to try and paint the faces for ages, but I don't know where to start. Well, that is a brilliant segue into Sunday's stream. So on Sunday, we're painting a face. We're painting this specific exact face. And it's a very special face. Because this face has just been sculpted by a guy called Barry, who is Anfarian. Yeah, Anfarian on Instagram. And this is the face of the commissioned model for Chapter Master Valrak. So the guy that does all of the Primarch videos on YouTube got somebody to make a complete miniature to represent Chapter Master Valrak on the tabletop. And he messaged me and asked me if I would take the commission on how to paint his face. So on Sunday night stream, we're going to do a complete workup on how to paint faces. And if you can't be here for the stream, not a problem, dude. Because the VOD will be up on YouTube the day after. We've done another one that's on YouTube already. It was one of the Ragnar Blackmane ones on how to paint Ragnar's face. We're going for a different skin tone on this. We're going for something that's slightly more Mediterranean tanned than like a Norseman, sort of pale skin with like lots of red elements to his flushed face tone. But definitely shooting the Sunday stream. And Rich, I literally just have Valrak's head. Valrak gave me head. I feel really bad about that now. It's just been sick in my brain. But there we go. How much would you need to pay to paint his Valrak as an Iron Warrior? So you may notice that my knights are inspired by a particular Chaos Legion. And this guy's clearly getting ready to toe punt this head into the middle distance. I mean, I've only got the head to paint. But I have got some blue stuff, and I could just make a few casts of this. And then use them as basing material for my Iron Warriors themed knights. I mean, if you want to see Valrak as an Iron Warrior, about the closest thing I've got that we could do would be to give him a little Iron Warrior's porthole to look through. There you go. So God, did he really? Did he really? Wow. But yes, it's a beautiful model, and Farius, who sculpted this, has done a crazily good job of it. Like, this is so well representative of the artwork he's had done for the face. It's amazing. So Sunday night, we're painting Valrak's head, so tune in for that, where we will make all of the Iron Warrior jokes that we can do whilst he's watching. Hazard Strike Leafs. He just wants some gold, but yes, maybe. Paint the head as a Blood Bowl boar, and a knight could be the next star player. He's already been a star player, man. He's my MVP. It's got to be. Right, let's do some dry brushing, which we don't do often, but specifically for one detail, which is these hip joints. We're going to use some dry brushing. So I'm going to grab this dry brush, which just want to check we haven't used it for pigments, which we have not. Cool. So here's what we're going to go with. It needs to be a flat-topped dry brush because we want to get a nice connection point with the mini. And basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be just gently drawing this backwards across the hip with almost no paint on the brush. And that's super, super important. And the reason behind that is you want to create a brushed steel look. So I'm going to try dry brushing with this, which I've never done before. This might turn out horrendously bad. But I really like this Vallejo metallic stuff. This is great. I got a million, can't even hit him again. Awesome. But yeah, Sunday night. That's going to be a fun one. And I'll have been at the tournament on Sunday. So we'll have some war stories to tell as well for how we got on at our first event of night. Wow, Zentrafolian. Thank you for that sub and welcome to the channel, dude. You see the BB? I can't wait. Michael Gaming have already committed to doing a new league. I did. I saw they've now done what would be like the 5th or 6th version of a human team. You had the old school plastic, you had the old school metal. Then you had the new school plastic. And now the newer new school plastic. So 4th version. And I still own the old metal ones. I don't think I kept the old plastic ones. I've got the new plastic ones because I used to play humans as my Blood Bowl team of choice. But everyone whinged about the way I'd play my human team because cages was so good. How many players at the tourney? It's an RTT and we've only got room for 16 players to also maintain correct social distancing and so on. So, you should see no difference so far. This is one of those techniques that just takes a long time. There's a little bit of extra paint on that side of the brush. We're just going to clean that off. But all we're looking for is to add a couple of lines of brush steel. That's it. It's a tiny little silly detail, but it makes a little difference. And I think this is the thing that helps separate you from sort of nominations for best painting and getting best painting at events. Which I fully don't expect to win this weekend because my friend Duncan is coming and he's got an entirely non-metallic metal Custodes army, which just looks so good. Not all of his blends are smooth, but it's taken him 2 years to get his army done to the point that it's done, and it's beautiful. It really is. En masse, it's crazy. First edition I played 40k was second. I didn't play Rogue Trader, but I had the book. It's just back then I was like 10. And you needed to have 3 people to play the game, really, because you had to have somebody as like a referee or a dungeon master. You can put this in your slideshow when Valrak is in the stream. Okay, right, here's what we're going to do. Let's go to Discord. New channel. Text channel. Okay, right. Let's flick over the screen. I've just created a new channel here on Discord called IW Memes. It's currently empty. If we can get all of you to start putting some Iron Warriors memes in there that are the same size as an Instagram picture. So I think it's something like 640 by 480, an Instagram picture. Make them that size, and I will set a second slideshow going. And we'll just occasionally turn them off and turn them on. So go and do that. Go and fill that between now and Sunday full of Iron Warriors memes. Goes on Varak's Discord. He is full of them both. The Torak and brilliant Torak and Valtarabo ones. Excellent. But do that, and we'll get a second slideshow going. And don't tell him But I think that'll be hilarious. There we go. We're starting to get them in. That's a good one. I like that. So, as you can see, we haven't really achieved much in a way of a different colour. But what we have achieved, if we can block out some of the light, which we are finding difficult to do. You can sort of see it. You can see a couple of little lines of silver that are sort of just visible. And that's what we're going for. We're just looking for that tiny little detail of that brushed steel. That's it. And it doesn't take long. A couple of minutes of just sort of the world's driest dry brush. But it helps. In real life, you can see it a lot better. It stands out a lot more. And this is how you dry brush. You don't dry brush by attacking the mini. You do none of this. You dry brush by making deliberate brush strokes with a reason for having made them. You go in one direction to allow the light effect that you're trying to create on the miniature to look natural and not forced. Excellent. They're filling up. They're filling up. Let's get all these memes. Like I said, you need to try and make sure they're about Instagram picture size so that they fit in the slideshow, because I'm not going to mess around with the dimensions of the stream. That's going to stay the same. So if you put in memes there that are the wrong size, your meme will be wasted. It will be no good. Oh, that's brutal. Rogel Dawn, never heard of her. This one's too hard to read when it's small. Never thought I'd die fighting side by side with an Iron Warrior. What about side by side with a siege expert? Go with a trench, loser. That's not pro Iron Warriors. This is you're thinking this the wrong way. Day 17. Iron Warriors do not realize I'm a kind of. I mean, that's okay. Oh, all of the guns. God, it's like a transformer on steroids. Oh. Yes. I actually genuinely like that. I'm not even joking. I wish I was, but I fucking love it. And this is hilarious. This is so hilarious. Nice trench. Oh, wait. That's amazing. Rogel Dawn at the Iron Cage, sending more and more Imperial Fists to their deaths. Do it again. Crazy Yank, that's a tiny picture, but that's a great rendition of that. Awesome work. Awesome work. Right, we're actually running out of stuff to start on stream because we don't want to get too involved in anything with only 50 minutes left to go. So what we'll do instead is we'll go through the whip, but we'll do a good long whip session so we can get some good feedback on everyone's stuff. Before we do, as always, this month we are going to give away 2 prizes. We've actually got a bonus 3rd prize, which is going to be, once I've sorted out all the paint on my paint rack, I'm going to end up with a load of paint there that I just don't use anymore. I'm going to give away all of that paint to a subscriber. So we got a load of paints here. I've got a drawer full of paint as well. There's going to be plenty of stuff there that we just don't use anymore. If I go through it and find there's not enough, I've got some duplicates of inks and things we'll throw in there just to make it a decent prize, right? It'll be to one subscriber, somewhere, anywhere in the world, we'll send you a big bag of paint. Just a big bag of paint. In bottles, not like all poured together in the... You know. You'll have a fourth if you win top affiliate. That is a good... we might have 4 prizes! That's good. That's a damn good month. You can give my gran away as a 4th prize. I'm not sure I can give people away. They might have banned that sometime in the 1800s or so. Maybe 1900s. It was definitely a thing. Historically, you can't own people anymore. Shame. But we're also going to give away a miniature painted by me in a colour scheme of your choice. Now, the first of our 3 minis in what could be our exclamation point mystery giveaway is a Harkman Shadowseer. This model's obviously got some quality ways that we can paint it up. It's going to be plenty of freehand, potentially. We're not painting this dog shit barber's pole thing he's got going on. That just looks terrible. I don't know what they were thinking with that. It looks like he's about to bust out on the set of Fame or something. It's terrible. Not doing that. But this is definitely a good thing to do. It's against Twitch terms of service. Giving away people is probably against Twitch terms of service. You're right. You are right. So Sarah, I feel you may want to be in the running for this because this guy is just awesome. Or girl. It's a completely asexual being. Harkman Shadowseer. Great prize. There will also be another mini up for grabs. Or, if you don't like that or the other mini, there is the contents of the mystery box. The box of mystery. The box of mystery is where this little happy chap came from last time. There are some cool models that go in the mystery box. It's just you won't know what they are. So choices. Choices, choices. We've also got our usual £50 hobby voucher giveaway. As to anyone that's been watching the stream, as you watch, you build up meeps, which are our stream currency. You buy tickets to the raffle on the last day of the stream, on the last day of the month that we stream, which is the 30th of August, 30th of the 8th, or 8th of the 30th if you live that side of the pond. More sort of that side of the pond, actually, but regardless. And currently, those are the only giveaways we've got. But it might also be some Rival Crafts vouchers or stuff as well. How do we normally stream for? We stream for about 2.5 hours a night. Usually a little past that, though, if I'm honest. So, but for now, let's go over to the Work in Progress gallery, where we can see what you guys have been painting. Now, normally we don't look at stuff pre-stream, but because it's Orcrist, we will. If you want to see your minis in the Work in Progress gallery, exclamation point Discord in the chat right now. Follow the link, go to the Work in Progress section and upload some pictures. Chaotic Mess, thank you for the follow. This is the first thing. This is the gigantic dragon that Orcrist is painting, which is bigger than his hand. Have you not learned from your Anavia that painting something with lots of scales / feathers that is also gigantic is going to drive you mental? Because it will. But Orcrist is an epic streamer. My favourite Canadian, apart from Wolverine. Who's totally not a fictional character. So give him a shout out, give him a follow. Good work, mate. Lovely purple. And that must have taken a million years to do all those fucking scales. Crownblade, Auric Brutes. Did you cheat and use transfers for that? Crosshatch. Yes, you did. Oh wait, no you didn't. No you didn't, that was just some glock. Those are some good crosshatches, dude. Good checkerboard. I think I see some evidence of maybe some contrast paint here and there. But that's fine. You've got some highlights down. I think the skin is very pale. And if you've specifically gone with that, then cracking. But some of it, because it's so pale, blends into some of the other details you've got. So this guy we're looking at now in the middle, with the big like jawbone around him, because of the lighting this is taken in, I suspect it almost blends in a little bit to one. So maybe the way around that is to just up the value that you've got on the teeth. Just make them a little bit brighter, perhaps. Or apply a little bit of a darker shadow to some of the areas of skin. Overall, though, mate, they're looking great. You've definitely come along to get these guys looking the way they look. I'm not overly sold on the blue sand, just from a personal perspective. The shadow-themed orcs. Then the blue sand makes sense. Totally makes sense. I like it, dude. Very good work. And nice little bit of freehand there, which is super, super good. Well done. Air says, Assault Primaris Blood Angels Whip. Oh, these are nice, mate. These are nice. So I like a lot of the classic Marine color schemes. Blood Angels, Ultramarines. They're just cool. They are just cool. And these look awesome. The guy on the left of the picture, you can see a few paint strokes on some parts of his armor. So be careful of that. You know, thin those paints a little bit more. Do a couple of coats, the usual stuff. And you could maybe do with just in some small areas, just going in with another little recess shade here and there. Because again, the guy on the left, his shoulder pad doesn't look quite as separated from the red of the pauldron as it could be. So maybe just get a little bit of a pin line in around there, darken that recess down, make it pop out a little bit more. That's about the only feedback I've got for you, man. The rest of it is really solid. Good job on the eyes as well. The red's nice and vibrant, it pops out. Yeah, good work, mate. Good work. Sons of Rolo, trying to do skill on Purity Seal, looking more like a Scream mask. And working on my edge highlights. I think I've got the right paint consistency. My brush control has let me down. I still look very uneven. Hashtag nailed them. Yeah, nailed it, mate. Well done. Let's have a look. Oh, damn. You mean a skull on the Purity Seal? So right in there, we're looking at a skull. This is just tough, all right? This is really, really hard to do. End of the day, you are trying to paint something with recognizable detail that fits in a square that's about 3 mil each side. And that's tough. The only advice I can give you, because I've tried this and it kind of worked and it wasn't perfect, but it kind of worked, is to exaggerate the features of the head. So, imagine a cartoon skull. I've got the wrong shirt on. I've got a Punisher shirt under the water today. Imagine a cartoon Punisher skull shape, right? Where you've got more of a bulbous head and then the upper mandible. Don't worry about painting in the nose section. Leave that entirely. Do some slits for the eyes about halfway sort of down the whole thing. You're kind of closer there. I see what you mean about it looking like a Scream mask. Immortal Blade, thank you for that follow. That's the best advice I can give you for that. But it is tough. It's a really, really super hard thing to do, and you've done a great attempt at it, so don't be discouraged. With your edge highlighting, yeah, some of these are a little thick, and it looks almost like you're dragging the paintbrush. If you look at the highlight on the knee where that Purity Seal is, on the top part of the knee, See how the edge of it is kind of jagged? That to me denotes that you've got not quite the right consistency. Now at some point you probably did, because if you look at the left leg and the shoulder, sorry, not the shoulder, the elbow just above that, those look much cleaner. So maybe your paint just dried a little bit, maybe you had a little bit build up on the brush that's just caused that to happen. So just take your time with it. It's one of those things that just takes a while on the Mini anyway. Don't rush it, do it right. I've also noticed you're going for that very much Games Workshop heavy metal style where you're drawing boxes around things. For me, I'm not sold on that as a highlight style. I understand why they do it and why they teach it. But maybe you could look at leaving off some of the highlights. This is a perfect example. Look at the knee with the purity seal next to it. You haven't put one highlight there that you have put on the other knee. And it looks better for it, I think. And certainly you don't notice that it isn't there. And that's that highlight that goes on the underside of the kneecap, like the patella. Because you haven't put that there, I think, to me, that looks more natural in the way it's highlighted. Whereas the other leg, you have put it there. But here's the real thing. You don't notice there's a difference until you start looking for it. You don't need those highlights all over. Remove as many of them as you can. Leave only the essence of those highlights. And you'll have a much better looking Mini overall, I feel. What you've done, though, is great, dude. Seriously, you're knocking it out of the park. You've gone the extra mile getting those little details down. And it shows. It's the full unit. I'm not overly sure about the Christmas lights you've got on this guy on the left. The red and the green on his arm there. Because that's the first thing that comes to mind. Christmas lights, Christmas grenades. Maybe a pale blue would have worked better instead of the green. It would have been the police then, obviously, but, you know. But looking good, though, man. As a unit, they look great. Can't wait to see these fully finished, fully based. You're doing great work, man. Absolutely great work. And I'm loving the background of your shot as well. Nice little box of parties over there in the corner. Bottle of something dark and amber. I can get behind these things. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Right, Cake Fisk. I can't make up my mind on colour scheme on this one. Oh, dude, you've got the entire colour spectrum to choose from. I'm not going to tell you how to paint it because it's a wonderful miniature and it's definitely yours to do what you want with. It's a massive blank canvas, right? If you're looking for like secondary or tertiary colours and you've got an idea for the main colour, let me know and I'll help you out with that. But I don't want to say, oh, paint it a colour I choose because it's not your Mini then, is it? And he's beautiful. It's a great Mini to paint. Loads of stuff going on with this guy. There's crazy detail everywhere if you look for it. It's either flesh or green. Flesh would look super disturbing. Like super disturbing. Green is the common colour. And you can do loads of stuff with the green. Immortal Blade. Brand new to 40k. Mate, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. Everyone that's brand new to the game that I love, they get that feeling of excitement. They get the fizz. And I had that 20 odd years ago. And you only get that time once. So fucking enjoy it, mate. Welcome to 40k. Hope you stick around. Shugart, another Smurf Hellblaster. Need to tidy up and start the armor highlights next. He's got an arm off. So, you know, I hope they're somewhere safe. It's good, man. Little tidy up. I can see a few elements that do need it. But everything you've done is in the right places. You've got a beautiful red helmet. Great contrast with green eyes. There's so much cool going on with this guy already. Get that gun sorted out. Get him on a base, a real base. And let's see him when he's finished. He already looks awesome. Haven't played a game yet, and still at the end on box. You can't prove anything. I mean, we don't need to. It's just a good enough implication. Immortal Blade 79, that will never stop happening. You'll always want another army. It won't be like, I only play this one army and this is all I will ever play forever and ever and ever. Because there'll always be something like, oh, I just want to paint that one dude. Like, oh, I just want to paint like an Ultramarine. Or I just want to paint, more Ultramarines. That was a bad example. Or this Amble. I just want to paint this one thing and away you go. I'll put you on, you've got 4 armies painted and good to go. I've got 3. But I own 6. Well, 5.5. I own 5.5. So, not terrible. Not terrible. I used to have literally every army in 40k in Summer Fantasy, but that was when I worked for GW, so it was a very different time to be buying the hobby. Nighthawk, Stormcast, Bone Reapers, and the Indon box. Fair. Oh, well, in that case, I guess more like 7. Shit. Yeah, it's 7. So we've got a fully painted Knights army, Nurgle Demon army with a character or 2 to do. Space Marine army. They're all fully painted. Then we've got a Grey Knight army that's grey plastic. We've got a Tau army that's all grey plastic bar 1 commander we started painting. I've got a Necron army, which is all on sprue, mostly because it's bits from this box. And then, what was the other army? What did I forget? Well, it's only 6 then. It's only 6. Not bad. Right, Vex. Just in case you didn't see. This is a colourful chap. Okay. So you've got purple body. We've got a red arm. A silver arm with a black shoulder pad. It's not bad, dude. The colours don't look confused, which they can frequently do when there's this much going on. So, good choices, like good colour palette. This is fine. There's a few bits where you've been not the most accurate with your brush, and I think that they're very easy to see on the mini when it's on this size of a screen, right? When you've really blown it up like this. Oh, it's bionic. Totally didn't see that. I just saw it looked slightly weird. So yeah, maybe just sort of do a little bit of a tidy up. There's some on the chainsword itself that needs to maybe have a little bit of a sort of clean up. And I think that black triangle on the back of it is actually a little bit of flash where it joined the sprue. So let me just slice that off carefully. And it was 3 AM. That's totally fine then, dude. Don't you worry. I've literally been there. But I want to compliment you on your face tone. I'm not sure if that's just the contrast skin tone, but it looks good, dude. Looks good. I do genuinely like your colour scheme. Like, it's a really nice homebrew style of Marine. He's good. He's good. Well done. We got another one here. He's got his hat on. He looks cool. Yeah, how did you come up with this colour scheme? Din Mami Papa says, I don't assist in custodes, easy that way, kill tills and gateway drug. Yeah. Immortal Blade, looking at either Imperial Fist or Salamanders. I love yellow, so I would take Imperial Fists. However, what I strongly suggest for anyone who wants to play a Marine army is choose your own colour scheme, a little bit like Vex has done here. Have a play, you know, just be creative with some different tones, see what you get, and paint them that way, because then you can play them as any Space Marine chapter you like. Your colour scheme is a bright luminous yellow, having doubts by starting it. Yep, no, do yellow. Do yellow. Just do yellow. It's great. Love yellow. Provençal, just finishing Indomitus Necrons. Awesome. We are going to do these as a weekend stream, and we'll find a duplicate character somewhere in there we can do a giveaway with. But we're going to paint an entire Necron army in a weekend in the somewhat Nucron colour scheme that I like. So, this dude. Wow. We'll get a whole army painted up like him. We'll do it over a weekend. That'll be a load of fun. And I can't wait to get several of these out on the table looking spiffy. We might do desert bases actually. That could be an option. But these look great, dude. Also, I really like how tidy your setup is behind this. Super organized. I'm getting rid of all of this soon for some different storage solution. I can't wait. Based on wherever that link is, I'm not going to click that link, but thank you very much. Wait, hang on. I kind of trust you, so let's just do. It's a Pinterest thing. Oh my god. Your colour scheme is based on the Skoda Felicia. Brilliant. Brilliant. But these look awesome. Love the colour scheme. This is very similar to what we'll be sort of aiming for, that slightly Nucron look. You've gone very dark with the weapons though. We'll be changing that up a little bit, going more to the brighter green. But it's a good set there, dude. It's a really, really nice set. You got some crackle paint going on. We might experiment with crackle paint. I've done a lot with that. Yeah, this could be fun. This could be a lot of fun. I think you've helped me make an informed basing choice, at least. Oh, look at him. He's super, super scary. Absolute beast mode. I love the Royal Warden as well. He's such a cool model. This guy we're going to rip apart. We're going to cut him into bits and we're going to make a crit tech using him and an Overlord. Because he's a bit poo. I mean, the rules, your model's lovely. I mean, the rules. And I can't see myself wanting more than one of them. Or even, maybe even wanting one of them. But I love that little bit of purple you've put in there. These are all great. I'm sort of gently stealing little parts of your work here, which I will totally credit you for. But that's going to be inspired by that's going to be maybe taking place, right? These are great. These are my favourite unit in the box. I've got 3 lots of 3 of these, and I think they're epic. Yeah, absolutely epic. Oh, we got one more. The Big Daddy himself. I love painting this dude at the weekend. That's what swung me on, like, right, we're doing that Necron army. It's going to happen. Regardless of everything else, it's just going to happen. You've done a good job here, mate. The blending on the blade isn't as smooth as some of the ones that you've done. Which is a shame, because that's a massive, chunky blade. That also makes it harder as well. But some of them have been really smooth, and that one's a little less, unfortunately. But look at how menacing this dude looks. You know, he's just full on, like, I'm looking straight through you. You're dead to me. Try to contrast from light to shadow is a mistake. Oh, I see. Yeah, it can be difficult when you change entirely the pattern of your glazing, but you've got something from that. So the mistake that you've made, you've taken a lesson from that, and you could probably do it next time, knowing some of the pitfalls that you've experienced doing it this way now. I think overall, mate, you've done a phenomenal job with these. Let's go back to that army photo. They look awesome. They look so awesome. And I don't think I've got a single army on desert bases. I don't think I've even done an army on desert bases. And so I might do an inspired by Provençal 78 desert-based Necron army, and I hope you don't mind. But I'm totally nicking it. So thank you to everyone who put some work in the whip. Sugar, you're absolutely right. We've had some unbelievably good stuff in here. It's been great. So thank you to all of you. Let's have a quick blow through what we've done this evening, what I find something to raid. So we took this mini. We got a load of oils put down on him after last stream's sort of very basic throw some base coats and do a bit of an airbrush on him. Now we've got all those oils down though, this guy's looking a lot cooler. Just, you've got all that detail that gets pulled out of him. We're going to let this dry. We're not going to touch this guy until Thursday, just before the stream, when we'll give him a good varnish using some of the testers. Then we're in a position to give this guy some edge highlights, do some of these little details like these pretty manky faces we've got here at the back, get some work done on these slightly blue metallic blades that he's got. But I really like this guy, the way he's turning out. So hopefully we'll finish this guy on Thursday evening, so tune in for that. Remember, this weekend, on Sunday night, we're going to be painting Valrak's head. So if you'd like to be here while we do a tutorial on how to paint a Mediterranean-style skin tone, and also make as many Iron Warrior jokes as possible, and I am totally... Can somebody just take a screen cap of this and send it to Valrak? Let's zoom in on our little Iron Warriors backdrop for Dawn. He's an honorary Iron Warrior right now. There we go. Just send that to Valrak with my love. There you go, Valrak. You can clip that, send him that, and on Sunday we'll Iron Warriors the fuck out of this guy. We won't. We're gonna paint it properly. It's commission. I can't not paint it properly, but God, it would be so funny. So let's go find something to rate. We're gonna roll into... I haven't been there for a while. I could go see Malev. Oh wait, no. Can't do that. Can't do that. We're going to go and raid Hobo J. So we haven't had the chance to see this guy on stream in I don't know how long. So I want everyone to spam the emotes, follow him. This is my friend Jake. He's one of my absolute best friends in the world ever. He's painting up some orcs. He's doing a load of yellow. Let's get it on. I will see you guys Thursday night live at 9. Peace out, everyone.